Okay. Uh, Good afternoon, everyone. Is it audible to everyone? Is it audible over there? No issues, right? Okay. We'll start with the class. Today, we'll be starting with the science and technology. Okay, I'll be your faculty for science and technology. Okay. Before starting with the actual class, I just want to take a little orientation. Okay, as to what type of questions are asked in the examination and how you should go about in future with respect to the science and technology. Okay. It will be a little detailed session, okay, unlike other subjects. Here, there are little things which you should keep in mind while you are studying for the science and technology, okay. So, before starting with the actual class, okay, I just want to know little information about your people, okay. We'll start with your background as such. How many of you are from the engineering background? Most of you. Medical, pharmacy, agriculture, BA, Bachelor of Arts, commerce, management, BBA, MBA, anything. Okay. And then biotech? No one. Okay. It's okay. So, how do you feel when you think about science? How do you feel when you think about science? Is it easy, moderate, difficult, interesting, not interesting? Yes? Interesting and easy. Okay. Which all subjects have been completed for you people? Environment, geography, international relation, that's all. Which is ongoing subject apart from these things? Economics. Okay. Nice. So almost all the science subjects have been done for you. So it will be easier for me to ask a lot of questions for you people. Okay. And many of you are from engineering and medical background, so I can ask a lot of questions. Okay. Before starting with the class, did you go through the syllabus for science and technology? Yes. What is the syllabus? What is the syllabus for science and technology for prelims? General science. And for mains, 3 points are there in the syllabus. Okay. How many of you have at least gone through the syllabus? You people are studying for civil service examination, right? Yes or no? Yes. The first thing which you should do is you should go through the notification, especially the syllabus. Okay. For the civil service examination, there are only two sources of information which are authentic by nature. One is the notification which is released by UPSC, and the other one is the question paper which is given by the UPSC. Apart from that, all the other information which is available in the market is just the information which is inferred or what they have experienced over a period of time or understood over a period of time is been taught to you people. Okay. If you want to know how the questions are asked, what type of questions are asked, what is the level of questions being asked in the examination, the first thing which you should do is go through the syllabus and go through the previous year questions. You will be able to find out little amount of pattern which is being followed whenever they ask questions. Prelims, it is little difficult to identify the pattern, but for the mains, it is little easier for you to identify the pattern. So once you identify the pattern, it will be little easier for you people to study for the examination as a whole. Okay. If you don't go through the syllabus, you will not know what you are studying. Okay. For example, prelim syllabus here for science is general science, they are just given two words, that's all, general science. What is this general science? Yes? What do you mean by general science? Before this, what is science? Yes? Systematic study of? Systematic study of anything to acquire certain knowledge. Okay? Science is basically systematic study. Okay? And here, whenever we talk about general science, it is more about the nature. We'll be studying the nature as a whole. Okay? General science here, we'll be studying the nature. And here, nature, when we talk about general science, it is more related to the elementary science. That is the thing which you have studied in your school times, the physics, chemistry, and the biology. That is what is your general science. Okay? Science is systematic study of anything to acquire certain knowledge. Okay? That's why it is not only in science, even in social science, they use the word science within them, because over there the science indicates that they are acquiring certain information by following certain procedure. Okay? They cannot give some idea just because it comes to their thought. Okay? They can give the idea only if it has certain legitimacy within the society, even for the social science as such. Okay? Not only for the science, even in the social sciences, whenever they say some idea, say for example, generally we say that India has a caste system. Just because I say that there is a caste system doesn't mean that India has a caste system. They have studied the society, they found that there is some pattern which is present within the country, and they have said that okay, this pattern we call it as caste system. That is, they have studied in a systematic manner to acquire certain information. Okay? In general science, it is more about studying the nature, that is your universe, the human beings, earth, and various other natural elements. Okay? You got it? And when we talk about general science, here specifically, it talks about the elementary science or the science which you study in your school days, that is your physics, chemistry, and biology which you study. Okay? We won't go too much into the details. Okay? You might have studied all these subjects in your school times. Yes? Yes. So this is the syllabus for the prelims. Okay? Now, this is the syllabus for the mains. Okay? In the mains, we have 3 points within the syllabus. They say that it is science and technology, developments and their application and effects in everyday life. Okay? Developments and their application and effects in everyday life. Second one, achievements of Indians in science and technology, indigenization of technology, and developing new technology. Yes? If you just see what is the difference between the first and the second statement. What is the difference between the first and second statement? It is more general by nature, it is more specific. That is, you have to read everything which is taking place in the world. Okay? So here, they are talking about the developments in the field of science and technology. So you should know what all are the developments which are taking place within the field of science and technology. Okay? And we should focus on the application parts. Okay? So it is not just the things which come up. Just because they invent something doesn't mean that you have to read. You should read it only when it has certain application. Okay? Or if it is a major breakthrough within the science, then only you should be reading it. Otherwise, every day there is one or the other development which is taking place, and you won't be even be able to keep track of the things which are taking place across the country alone, let alone the world. Okay? So in this light, you should be reading major developments. Generally, the major developments, they will be covered in your newspapers. Okay? And whenever they cover in the newspapers, they also cover their applications also, and most of the applications have everyday utility. Okay? Most of the applications have everyday utility. The next one is more specific to India, where they say that what all are the technology invented within India, and indigenization of technology means how we are incorporating or we are developing technology of our own, which is already present across the world as such. Okay. So we'll be discussing these things again in detail later. Okay, I'm just giving you in brief over here. Okay. And then they said few more things, that is awareness in the field of IT. What is IT? Yes. Information technology. Space. What is space? Yes. Anything beyond Earth. Okay, anything beyond the Earth's atmosphere is the space. Then we have the computers, robotics, nanotechnology, biotechnology, issues related to intellectual property rights. Okay, so this is little syllabus. Okay, now what is technology? What is technology? Anything that makes life easy. Okay, technology is nothing but it is the one which utilizes the scientific information to make some real day application or any mechanism to make our life easier. That's all. Okay, so basically technology is the application of science in everyday life. Okay, so technology is utilizing the information which we get from science and used for the normal everyday activities. Okay. Yes. Before starting with the class, we'll just go through this year's questions as such. Okay. You might think that you might not be knowing many of the questions. It's okay, but still just go through the questions so that I can tell you a few more information about the science and technology as such for the civil service examination. Okay. So this is the first question. Can anyone answer this question? All four? Okay. What is this distributed energy resources? It is nothing but decentralized generation of electricity. That's all. Okay. Decentralized manner of generating electricity or energy in broad. Okay. Decentralized generation of energy. The word is pretty clear. Battery storage is decentralized by nature. Yes, you carry battery everywhere. That means it is decentralized or distributed by nature. Biomass generators, they are also decentralized. Okay. Now we see that most of them are big one, but if you read in your school times, you would have read something called as gobar gas, where you say that they have one pit in the home or the land itself. Means it is a decentralized by nature. We'll have the bigger ones also, but they have the smaller ones also. Have you heard of fuel cells? Yes. Where have you heard the fuel cells? Hydrogen fuel cells. Okay. Hydrogen fuel cells. So hydrogen fuel cells are a type of or it is a mechanism where we generate the electricity. Okay, and here we use the hydrogens as such. Okay, fuel cells, they are broader by nature. Hydrogen fuel cells, they use hydrogen as the source of energy. We have other kinds of fuel cells also for which use different materials. One such another common material is the methane as such. Okay, it is used in cars. Okay, means it is decentralized by nature. Rooftop solar is a decentralized one, right? Yes. All four are decentralized. All four is the answer. Okay. You said environment was done, right? You should be able to answer this question. Environment subject has been done for you people, right? Did they talk about the energy? Renewable energy. Did they talk about the alternate source of energies? Yes. Didn't they discuss these things? At least you could have got some idea as to what kind of energy are different sources of energy. Yes or no? Yes. Don't you feel that if you just read the question here, if you understand what this is, you will be able to answer this question? Yes? And here now, the prelims syllabus which they gave, they said that there is general science which they talk about physics, chemistry and biology. Does it have anything to related to that? It is more about the application of the science as such. Okay? It is more related to the application. Okay? Yes. This is little specific one. Okay, if you have heard, you can just answer. Otherwise, you just leave. Answer? Yes? 2 and 3? Why is the first statement wrong? It is? No, it is not big. It is miniature. It is very small only. It is very small actually. Huh? It is not fusion. It is mainly they use radioactivity as such. Okay, they use the difference in the temperature to get the or derive the energy as such. Okay, there is no fusion, neither fission reaction which takes place in this one. It is a very simple mechanism. One side there will be very cold temperature, another side there will be very hot temperature. Hot temperature here, the radioactivity, whenever radioactivity takes place, heat is generated. On the other side, we have very cool temperature. So the difference is used to derive the electricity. That's all. Okay, there is no fission or fusion reaction which takes place in this one. Hence, first statement is wrong. The other two statements are correct. Okay. Can anyone say the answer? Answer, please. No one? Okay. If you read the first statement reads as giant stars live much longer than the dwarf stars. Okay, giant stars is nothing but big stars. Dwarf stars nothing but small stars. Okay, sun is a dwarf one, small one. We have many big stars also. Compared to dwarf stars, giant stars have a greater rate of nuclear reaction. Okay, stars generally they derive their energy from nuclear energy. Yes, so they derive their energy from nuclear energy. Here they say that giant stars have a greater rate of nuclear reaction. If the rate of reaction is greater, means they should die first, right? Either this statement is correct or this statement is correct, isn't it? Yes or not? First statement, it says that giant stars live much longer than the dwarf stars. The second statement, they talk about the rate of reaction, where they say that giant stars have the greater rate of reaction. So either these, both of these cannot be correct. At least you should apply logic and see that both of these cannot be correct. Either the first one is correct or the second one is correct. Okay. As it is a big star, generally the big stars will have greater rate of reaction and they die earlier. Okay, they die earlier. So the first statement is incorrect. The second statement is correct. Okay. Sometimes in the examination, all you have to do is just apply little amount of logic, and you will be able to derive the answers. It is not necessary for you to know all the information. Okay, it is not necessary for you to know all the information. Even if you are able to derive a little amount of logic, you will be getting only two answers. Either this statement is correct or this one is correct. Okay, you would have divided, that is, you have removed two and only two are present over here. Okay, now here, as the first one is incorrect, statement D is the right answer. Okay, this is one way to analyze your previous year questions. Okay, see, whenever you go through the previous year questions, other faculties, they would have told you that you should analyze the previous year questions, right? Have they said or not? Yes, they have told you to analyze the previous year questions. When they say analyze previous year questions, you should not go home and start solving the questions. Okay, solving is just testing your knowledge. You should try to identify how UPSC makes the questions. Okay, it is the UPSC's duty to make incorrect statements. Okay, so they have to make incorrect statements because all the statements which are present are correct itself. Okay, so in the science everything is correct. So they have to create incorrect statements. You have to identify that how they create the incorrect statements, and apart from this, you should also try to identify how you should be able to answer the question with the minimum knowledge you have. So wherever some logic can be applied, you should try to identify these logics as such. Okay, so this is just one way of analyzing your previous year questions. Okay, yes. See, in the class in between, I'll be telling all this extra information for you people. Okay, if you want, you can keep retain it in your mind, or you can have your own logic. Okay, see, for civil service examination, there is no one straightforward method to say that you do like this, you clear the examination. Okay, you have to develop your own strategy as such. What you have to do is you listen to all the people and try to use only those points which fits for you. It is not mandatory for you to say that, okay, this person has said something, I have to follow this. This person has said something, I have to follow this. Okay, you have to pick and choose the things which is applicable for you. Everyone's strength and weaknesses are different. Okay, there's no two people who have the same strategy or the same strengths and weaknesses. Okay, yes. Answer? Yes. Nitric oxide? Yes. Okay, nitric oxide is the answer. Okay, it is one chemical which will help in dilating the blood vessels as such. Okay. Answer? B? Only two? Which statement is incorrect? First statement is incorrect? Yes? Or any other statement is incorrect? Why is first statement incorrect? Yes? Why is the first statement incorrect? Yes. Generally for narcotics, they take medical test. Apart from this, see, the radar cannot identify what is present in anything. It can just detect that there is something which is present over there, that's all. A radar can only identify that there is something which is present. Okay, they cannot exactly identify what is the material as such. Okay, for that they conduct different chemical analysis to identify what is the material. So identification of narcotics on passengers at airports or aircraft is not possible with the help of radar. Apart from this, these two are the correct application. What is a radar? Yes, radio detection and ranging. Okay, it is basically a device which uses radio waves to detect certain bodies. That's all. Okay, yes. And here, monitoring precipitation, we have number of radars which helps in identifying if there is rain or Not. Okay. The next one is migration of animal can also be detected with the help of the radars. Yes. Answer? None? Okay. None of the above is the answer. Okay. All three are of different generation. Okay. So either it is 4 or 4.5 generation. Okay. There are just 4 fighter jets which are of 5th generation as such. Okay. 2 from the USA, F-22 and F-35. Russia has one, Su-57. And then we have J-20 of China. These are the only 4 jets which are present. Okay. What is the answer? 3, all 3 are correct. Okay. See, you might have heard about some materials which can absorb lot of water. Okay, at least you might have seen those things on the social media. Okay, where you see that you pour lot of water on some material and they'll be absorbing all the water, right? They are example for hydrogels. Okay, and they have all these 3 applications. Okay, we'll not go too much in detail. We'll discuss all these things again later. I just want to give little context before going to the actual questions as such. Okay. Yes. D. Yes. Water vapor, electrical vehicles, hydrogen fuel cell based electrical vehicles. Their exhaust will be just water. Okay. Yes. Yes. C. Okay. C is the answer. Here only they have said hydropower. You might have read this in your school times. Hydropower is associated with generation of energy. So it is basically an energy storage. Okay. Answer. Environment has been done for you people, right? Biofuels? Biofuels? Yes or no? Okay. C is the answer? Yes? You can take any organic material, you can derive biofuel from them. Okay? Sustainable aviation fuel is nothing but biofuel. Okay, it is just a different name for airplanes. That's all. Okay? The normal biofuels, if you know what sustainable aviation fuel is, it is nothing but a biofuel, and all these things can be used to derive the biofuel. So all the above is the answer. Okay? The metaverse. Okay? It is basically talking about a digital universe as such. Okay? Yes? Operation Sadbhavana. Okay? It is a operation which was taken up for the rural population by the armed forces. Okay. C is the answer. Okay. Answer is D. It is Sri Lanka. It was within Sri Lanka. Okay. Okay. If you just go through the questions, you'll see that few of the questions are very simple, and you would have come across those terms, or at least broadly you would have heard about those things in your everyday life. Okay. Of all these questions, majority of the questions are from the current affairs. Okay. Majority of the questions are from the current affairs. So distributed energy resources, they have been in news because India has been promoting the distributed resources. If you have been following the news, you see that rooftop solar has been promoted by the government, fuel cells are being promoted by the government, and battery storage are being promoted by the government. Yes? This one, ISRO signed a deal with the Bharat to develop these batteries as such. Okay. So in the slide, it was in news and it was asked in the examination. Okay. This is just a general question. Okay. Of lately, we have been hearing a lot of things from the space and all. This was one question asked with respect to the space sector. Okay. This is also a general question, but if you just see blood vessels, blood flow and all, if you just see that of lately, there have been lot of deaths which are taking place because of heart attack or blockage of the blood vessels as such. Okay. In that light, one time in the newspaper, this thing was discussed. Okay. It is not present in any other books as such. You take up any science and technology book or NCERTs as such, it is not present in those things. It was a very specific question which was asked. If you have a specific knowledge about how the blood vessels work, then you would be able to answer. Otherwise, you leave it in the examination hall and come out. That's all. Okay. So here it was asked in the context of increasing number of lifestyle diseases as such. Okay. The context was a little broader. They asked a very specific question in this particular case. Okay. As such, as you age, that is as you become older, your nitric oxide content in your body reduces. That's why as you get older, you have the higher chances of your heart getting blocked. Okay. As you get older, your chances of your heart getting or the blood vessels getting blocked increases because the production of the nitric oxide reduces over a period of time. Okay. But of lately, we are seeing that these cases are already present among the youths itself. Okay. This is also a general question, radars as such. Okay. This question was asked in the context of Indian government announcing to develop one 5th generation fighter jets. Okay. So Indian government announced that now we have Tejas, which was successful. It was 4.5 generation aircraft. Now India wants to plan, or it is planning to develop the 5th generation fighter jets within the country. No country is ready to share the technology with India. So now India has to develop on its own. Okay. So in this slide, this question was asked in the examination. Next one, it is a general question. Okay. This question was also asked in the context of the current affairs itself. From past 1.5 years, we have been focusing too much on the hydrogen fuel. Okay, you might have come across the social media where they have been using the hydrogen fuel, green hydrogens. Okay, one such post has been that our Transport Minister Nitin Gadkari, he drove one car called as Mirai. When he went in that Mirai to the Parliament House that day, for 2-3 days in the newspaper, they discussed about what is this hydrogen fuel cell as such. The reason why it was discussed extensively was because it is considered as an alternative for your battery-based electrical vehicles. Okay. Most of the time, whenever we think about future, we think only from the battery-based electrical vehicles, that is the lithium-ion electrical vehicles. Okay. But hydrogen fuel cell is considered to be one of the alternative for the future. Okay, so in this slide, it was very important, and government has also taken up number of initiatives to produce green hydrogen within the country. Okay, and when Nitin Gadkari drove, and Toyota as such, it is the only company which is uh, developing these vehicles. They have released an Innova and one Mirai. It is a car, sedan one, and they are based on this one. Okay, when that was released, it was discussed extensively within the newspaper. If you had read newspaper, you would have answered this question easily. Okay. Next one, this one also was in news because India is planning to develop few of the pump storage facilities. Okay. It is a very general question again, but we are now moving towards sustainable fuel in all the areas, including the aviation sector also. Okay, it is just a different term. Almost all the time you might have heard about something called as E20 written on your vehicles. Yes, what is this E20? Ethanol 20. What does that indicate? Yes, your vehicle, the fuel which you use, in that fuel 20% is ethanol. Okay, it is E20 indicates that your vehicle can operate optimally or properly if it is blended with 20% of ethanol. Okay, so in general, most of the major cities, they have E20 blended petrol in the petrol stations. Okay, so in that light, you might have already heard about biofuels. This is just one more term which is used in this case, sustainable aviation fuel. It is nothing but biofuel for the airplanes. That's all. Okay. This one, have you heard in the newspaper or in the social media? Every time in the social media, you will be coming across these terms called as metaverse and various other things. Okay. Of lately, we are focusing too much on the emerging technology or the fourth generation of industrial revolution. Okay, where we'll be focusing on the emerging technology, and this is one such application of this emerging technology as such. Okay, and apart from this, there was also a few of the issues which are present with respect to the metaverse. Okay, and it came up in the newspaper also. The case was that of a rape case which occurred in the metaverse. When the rape case was occurred in the metaverse, that time questions were raised with respect to the privacy within the metaverse as such. Okay, so there are one term which has come across and which is becoming famous of lately, that is the meta crimes. When they say meta crimes, it is nothing but the crimes which are committed in the meta world. Okay, so you might have seen your social media, the Facebook, it changed its name to Meta. Yes, it changed its name to the Meta to indicate that now we are entering into the meta world. That is, it will be the future as such. Okay, so that's why they changed their name from Facebook to Meta. Okay, and these two are general operations which are conducted. And if you see 2023, and the question was asked in the 2024 examination. Okay, so in the newspaper, you'll be coming across number of exercises, operations which are conducted. You should know what are the operations, what is the purpose. Okay, few exercises they'll ask in detail. Few exercises they'll be very simple question which will be asked in the examination. Okay, you don't have to read too much in detail. The detailed one will be discussed in the newspaper itself if it is important one. Otherwise, India conducts more than 50 exercises per year. Okay, so you won't be able to remember where all the exercises have been conducted in the country. Okay, so in this slide, if it is discussed in detail in the newspaper, then only you will read it in detail. Otherwise, you should just know what the operation is. That's more than enough. Okay, few of the exercises they are discussed in detail because of the significance of that particular country or any importance or new thing which will be taking place within that exercise, then only they will be discussed in the newspaper. Okay, yes, yes. Now, if you just go through the question, you see that here they use the word general science. Of all the questions, only one question is from general science, that is nitric oxide. And that too, if you read all the NCERTs, you won't be able to answer them because it is not present in the NCERTs. Okay? Next, most of the questions are application based and have everyday utility. Okay? Most of the questions are application based or everyday utility. In this slide, technology is more important for us than the science as such. Okay? Technology is more important for us than the science as such. But if you don't know science, then you won't be able to understand the technology also. So we'll be studying the background first as to what is the technology or the science behind certain things, and then we will be discussing the technology in our science and technology class. Okay? So I discussed this question to just tell you that how important our syllabus is. Okay? In this case, our main syllabus, it is little detailed. It talks about what all is the specific focus of the examiner or what UPSC expects from you. Okay? So here, whenever you come across any technology, you should know science, but the science information, only basic information is more than enough. Okay? You don't have to go in detail as such, but majority of the focus should be on their application as such, whether they have some application or how they will be utilized in the everyday life. Okay, you got it? Yes. And if you see this here, there is computers, IT, space. Most of the questions are from these areas itself. Yes, and the pattern changes every year. And the pattern changes every year. Every year, on an average, we can expect about 10 to 12 questions in the examination. Okay, on an average, we can expect about 10 to 12 questions in the examination from the science and technology for the prelims. Okay, in prelims 10 to 12, it is too much. Okay, and that is the number is very high when compared to other subjects. Here you have to read less and you will be able to answer more number of questions. Apart from this, most of the questions are from current affairs. In this slide, you have to read newspaper regularly. How many of you are reading newspaper regularly? Everyone? How many of you are following current affairs regularly? Okay. See, it is now right time for you to start reading your newspaper regularly. Okay. See, newspaper has number of advantages. It is not only because I am telling it because of the science perspective as such. If you go through the questions as such, many of the questions have some or the other linkages with the current affairs which is taking place. Okay. And in that light, you should have little understanding of what is the events which are taking place in the general world, which will help you in writing the questions or answer the questions in the examination, whether it is for the mains or for the prelims as such. Okay. And apart from this, newspaper reading will help you in developing the logic as such. Okay. So here we had this question. Okay. Here, if you have been reading the newspaper regularly, especially those two editorial sections which are present, if you read those editorial sections regularly, you will develop the capability to identify some logic also. Generally, these editorials, some are very specific by nature, some are very broad and have lot of interlinkages also. It will help you in developing points. Even if you don't know anything, you will be able to develop points because you would have analyzed how the points would be generated. Okay. See, have confidence in yourself. Okay. Don't think that whenever you read you will forget and all, nothing will happen. Okay. Your brain is very, very good. Okay. So if you start underestimating your brain, automatically it will not perform. If you give too much of confidence and tell it that everything will be okay, your brain will perform very good. Okay. So you indirectly or unconsciously, you will be developing the logic as such, and indirectly it will be applicable in the final examination. Even though you might not have come across those terms or that particular context in the newspaper or while you read it, while you are studying or while in the examination hall, you'll automatically able to derive logics in the examination hall. Okay, so at least read the editorial every day. Okay, reading the editorial is very, very important. Apart from this, it has a lot of application. That is, in CSAT paper, we have 27 questions from 25 to 27 questions in the reading comprehension. If you want to score more more marks in the CSAT, then you should be good at reading comprehension. And one way to develop that capability is by reading the newspaper, especially those editorial articles. Okay? Yes? Yes. The type of questions asked in the examination, one will be very basics, basic question will be asked, but majority of the questions will be application and current affairs based ones. Okay, application and current affairs based questions will be asked in the examination. Okay, yes. Am I going fast for you people? Everyone, it's okay, right? Yes. Now, a little bit about mains, and then we'll conclude the session. Okay. So mains, almost every year you can expect at least 3 questions in the examination. Okay, sometimes they might ask 4, sometimes 2. It is very rare that they go beyond 3 or less than 3. It is very rare. Most of the time, if you just see, it is 3 questions itself. Okay, at least 3 questions every day. Sorry, every year in the GS3 paper, you will get questions from the science and technology. Okay, yes. So in mains perspective, it is not so important as such. Okay, not so important, but for civil service examination, even if you don't like it, you have to read all the subjects. Okay, so here also you have to concentrate on this area also, and you don't have to give so much of energy for science and technology again. Reason being that these were the questions which were asked in the examination. Okay. The first question, it is talking about the intellectual property rights. Okay. Can you say what is intellectual property rights? Yes. Intellectual property rights. Any examples? Patents, trademarks, etc. All these things are the examples for the intellectual property rights. Okay. This question was asked in the examination because recently WIPO, have you heard of WIPO? World Intellectual Property Organization. Okay, it is an organization where they have signed one treaty for traditional knowledge, genetic resources related treaty. Okay, so they signed one treaty, and based on that treaty, we got one question in the final examination. Okay, it was signed I think in the month of May itself, and we got one question in the mains examination. Next one. Did you read the question? Yes? Okay. How many demands are there in this question? You are writing answers, right? Yes? 4 demands? Okay. What is the first demand? What is the technology being employed for electronic toll collection on highways? What is the technology? FASTag? Okay. What is the name of the technology specifically? Okay. FASTag is the name given to RFID. RFID is actually the technology which is used in your FASTag as such. Okay. Next, what are the advantages and limitations? What are the advantages of using FASTag? Yes, faster collection of toll, right? It is easier for you to pass. You don't have to stop. Okay, and greater collection for the government and all those things. What are the limitations? Sometimes there won't be internet, so they won't be working properly. Okay, even though you have money in your FASTag, they won't be able to scan it properly, right? And there is one more issue which is present. These are all technical issues. One other issue is that fraud has been committed, where some of the large vehicles, what they do is they take the FASTag of the small vehicles. That is, say if they have a truck, you paste the FASTag of the car. So they'll see that it is car's vehicle number, and they'll cut the money or they deduct the money based on the value of the car. But you will be driving a truck or a big vehicle. So a fraud was committed with respect to the FASTag. Okay. So in that light, there are a few of the limitations are there with respect to the FASTag. Next, what are the proposed changes? If you have been following the social media regularly, you would have come across Nitin Gadkari, where he says that now we will be moving towards GPS based collection. Yes? Yes. GPS based collection, where your car or your vehicle will have a GPS connection. The moment you enter on the highway, they'll get to know that you are on the highway. From that point till the point you exit, they'll calculate the distance and they'll deduct the money directly from your account itself. Okay? This is the proposed one. And what all would there be any potential hazard? Yes? Will there be any issue? Yes, what is the issue? Privacy issue. Any other? Yes. There will be one privacy issue. The other one is the same thing which has been done here. Okay. Where all you have to do is just GPS. The GPS generally whenever they are installed, they will be installed along with some number. Okay. You can change the GPS and it will lead to again the same fraud being committed in future again. Okay. So these are the two potential hazard. The second one is not of a major concern as such. The first one which you told, that is the privacy, it is one big concern. Okay. Literally, the government will know where your vehicle is every time. So it will lead to 24/7 surveillance of an individual. Okay. So in this slide, number of people are opposing the use of GPS because it will lead to 24/7 surveillance of the individuals and it will affect their privacy. Okay. This was again discussed in the newspaper. Okay, number of concerns were raised with respect to the FASTag, and every now and then Nitin Gadkari he regularly tells that we should move towards the GPS based toll collection mechanism, and it was discussed in the newspaper. Next one. Yes, how many demands are there? 3 demands. Okay. What is the first one? What are asteroids? They are just rocky bodies present within our solar system. How real is the threat of them causing extinction of life? Yes? Threat is there. How real it is? Do you have any past experience of extinction of life due to asteroids? Yes? Dinosaur extinction. Okay. Dinosaur extinction is one example of how real the threat is. Okay. It depends on the size of the asteroids as such. Okay. But the threat is very real. If the asteroid size is bigger, there are chances that the life could go extinct. Okay. During the incident of the dinosaur, it took place about 66 million years ago. During that time, I think an asteroid of only about 10 to 12 kilometers of size, it hit the planet Earth, which led to the climate change, and more than 75% of the species present during that time went extinct. Okay? So here, this shows that how real the threat is. Apart from this, there was one incident which took place in Tunguska of Russia. Okay, and over there, one small asteroid it hit the Earth, the Siberia region of the Russia, and almost 2,000 square kilometer of area was wiped out within seconds. Okay, if you just see how much this area is, it is the size of Bangalore. If an asteroid hits in Bangalore, whole of the Bangalore will be vaporized within seconds. Okay, so this indicates that how real the threat is. Okay, now, so the threat is real as such, and it depends on the size of the asteroids. Okay, What strategy has been employed? Do anyone of you have any idea? Okay. There was one mission which was conducted, that is DART mission, was to deflect the asteroids as such. Okay. So that is the one mission. Apart from that, the question was asked because every year International Asteroid Day is celebrated for commemorating the event of Tunguska. Okay. To for this event, every year International Asteroid Day is celebrated, and this year also they celebrated. During the celebration, our ISRO chairperson Somnath, we talked in detail about India's role or how India is contributing towards this threat. Okay, and you might have come across one term called as Apophis. Apophis was in news because of a message which was sent by the NASA, where they said that there are chances that the Apophis might hit the planet Earth. They were just talking about chances as such, but there is no threat as such. Okay, as such there is no threat. They said that in the year 2029, it will come as near as just 30,000 kilometers from the Earth. Okay, it will pass about 30,000 kilometers from the Earth and it will move away. So that has been the threat which the Earth will face. When this information came out, that time lot of news was present with respect to the Apophis and the threat of extinction of life because of the asteroids. This was also covered in the newspaper. If you had read newspaper regularly, you would have able to answer all these three questions. Okay, you got it? So in this slide, newspaper is very important for the examination, especially in the context of science and technology. In other areas also it is important, for example, disaster management, environment, international relations. Here all newspaper is very important because these things took place in the May and June time period. Okay, this was during May time period of 2024. This also took place, I think, 30th June was the day. Okay, on that day we celebrated the International Asteroid Day. Now here you can see that May, June, and in the September the question was asked in the mains examination. Okay, so in this slide I would not have covered all the topics for the next year's current affairs because I don't know what will be happening in the next year. Okay, so you should be focusing on the current affairs. Okay, I'll cover all the basic topics in the classes, but if you do not follow the newspaper regularly, you won't be able to answer all the questions in the examination. Okay, this here, the treaty was only done in the May. Okay, and it was asked in the examination. Many didn't even know what is the treaty because people, whenever the exam is near, they stop reading the newspaper. They think that newspaper is not important. It is not true. Okay, see, please give little importance to the current affairs. Okay, I'm emphasizing this because if you go through all of the questions without current affairs knowledge, you won't be able to answer 50% of the questions. And especially the last 6 months of the examination is very, very important. Okay, before that is also important, but at least last 6 months it is very important for the science and technology. Okay, you got it? Yes. And it is not only for science and technology that you should read newspaper. I told you it is important for the environment, disaster management, international relations, and few of the bills which are passed in the parliament for the polity questions, they will be asked based on these. Okay? Yes? Yes. Now, what is the type of question being asked in the examination? One, they'll ask little concepts as such. Concepts in the sense basic science. They'll be asking about the basic science. They'll ask few facts or any features associated with any program. For example, last year Chandrayaan 3. Okay, Chandrayaan 3, it was launched in June. Yes, it was launched in July. It landed in August, and in September we had the question in the examination, and they asked the question related to the features of Chandrayaan 3. Okay, yes. Applications is very important. For all the topics, you should know what are the issues or the limitations. Okay. If you are talking about science, then you should know what are the limitations. Otherwise, in general, what all are the issues present with respect to any topic as such. Okay. So, for example, we discussed here, they are talking about potential hazard. Okay. For almost all the topics, there will be one or the other issue which will be present. So, you should know what are those issues, limitations or challenges, different words will be used in the examination. Okay. Schemes and initiatives are also important. Okay. They will be asked in the examination either directly or you have to quote in your examination. Okay. Next is way forward. Way forward here is what additional measures should be taken up apart from, say, if there is some limitations and the schemes are not addressing those limitations, then what measures should be taken up. Okay, you got it? Yes. Okay, so these are the things which you should focus for the science and technology mains part. Okay, for any topic you take up, you should know the concepts, the basic facts or features behind them, applications of those concepts or technology as such, limitations or issues, challenges and various other terminologies, okay, schemes or initiatives, policies, regulations, etc., all those things. Next, way forward or additional measures which are needed. Okay. Now, science is not only important in the context of paper 3, it is important for all the papers as such. Okay. GS1, this year we had one question where they talked about auroras. Yes? Was this discussed in your class? Yes? In your geography class, they would have discussed about auroras? Yes. A question was asked in the examination. Okay, when we study sun, we will again be studying about the auroras. Okay. This year, auroras is important. Can anyone say why? Yes? Okay. Why did we witness the event of auroras in the Ladakh? Yes? In auroras, what all did they taught you? Yes? Magnetosphere. Okay. They talked about the ionosphere and then Van Allen bends. Apart from that, that's all? Okay. It's okay. We'll be discussing one more context over here. Okay. In the science, when we study the sun, we'll study why it was important as such. Okay. Here, I'll just give you a little background for you. 2024 is a year which is considered to be a solar maximum. For the whole year, you will be witnessing auroras in the North Pole and the South Pole. It was because of the solar maximum. During the solar maximum, we witness more number of sunspot, more number of solar activity, which leads to the emission of more number of particles from the sun. That is, in turn, it leads to more interaction in the ionosphere and more number of auroras. And because of the extensive event, we witnessed it in the Ladakh also. Okay. So 2024 is the year. It is the solar maximum. Okay, solar maximum year, and that's during the solar maximum we witnessed maximum number of sunspots or solar activity as such. When there is more solar activity, there will be more number of auroras on the planet of Earth also. Okay, so in that context, auroras was important. Okay, they don't. It is not that sometimes the question might be random, but sometimes the question will have one or the other context to be asked in the examination. Okay, so this year the question of aurora was asked in the geography because of this reason itself. Okay, we'll be discussing about this thing again in our science one, where I'll tell you why it is 2024 is the year of solar maximum. Okay, yes. So here we had one aurora question. This year itself we had the question of aurora. Okay. Apart from this, in our topics, we have one more topic, small one, that is we should know about the history of science and technology. Okay, so we should know the achievements of Indians. Achievements of Indians, it is not only the Indians who have been lived now. We should know what they did over the centuries ago also. You might have heard about Aryabhatta, yes. So he is also one person related to the science and technology. Last year, there was one question in the examination where they asked about the science and technology, or the technology which were present during it was asked in paper 1. Okay, I think it was first question or the 11th question. The moment many people entered in the examination hall, they were surprised with this question being asked in the examination. Okay, whenever you read your history, you should keep in mind that while you are reading the history, you not only focus only on the cultural part, you should focus on the science part also. Art and culture has not been done for you. History, medieval history, also, ancient medieval is not okay. See, they'll be recommending you few books for you. In those books, they'll tell you that culture is very important and administration is very important. Along with the culture and administration, science is also very important. In all the chapters, they will discuss one paragraph about the technology which were present during that time period. You should know the technology also. Okay, you got it? So while you are reading history, that time you should read administration, culture, and science. Okay, and I'm telling you, while reading history only you should read culture. It is because it has little additional information. Okay, though you will be reading the culture again in your art and culture subject. In the examination, the questions will be little specific by nature. Okay, so for example, this year in the culture, I'm just giving out of the science and technology. Okay, one question was related to art and architecture during the Chola time period. One question was related to Pallavas. Okay, so when you read the art and culture separately, they'll be focusing more on the different types of cultures which are present within the country. But you should always integrate it with the history so that you know how the art and culture has evolved over a period of time also, which will help you in answering the question easily. Okay, these two are both related to the Dravidian style of architecture. Okay, it started in Pallavas, it reached its zenith in the Cholas time period, and both the questions were asked this year itself. It was a 10 marker question, it was a 15 marker question. Okay, so in this slide, whenever you read art and culture, don't read it separately as such. Okay, try to integrate it with the history itself. Okay, and along with administration, culture, you should read science and technology also. Okay, yes. There is one more incident where the question was asked, where they asked a question related to have you heard of this term? Yes. What is this cryptocurrency? What is this cryptocurrency? Have you heard of the term? Yes. It uses blockchain technology. In simple, you might have heard about Bitcoins, Ethereum. Yes. Bitcoin? Yes. It is a cryptocurrency. The question was asked in the GS1. Okay, it is a technology question. They asked about its impact in the GS1. I think it was a 15 marker question which was asked in the examination. Okay, where they asked about the impact of the cryptocurrency. Broadly, we can keep it. We can say that it was asked in the context of society. Okay, it was asked in the context of society. So it is not only in GS3 that the science is important. You should have a very broad understanding of the topics. Okay, yes, yes. Next is GS2. In GS2, we have one small topic, that is e-governance, where we will be talking about the role of technology in the governance. In GS3, we have science and technology separate itself. Apart from this, in environment also we'll come across number of technologies. Okay, so you'll come across number of technologies. For example, this year they asked one question in the environment also. They asked a question related to the water technologies. Okay, and it was asked, you can either put it in the environment or science and technology, anything. It is more related to the water crisis which is present, and they say that what could be the potential solution, or what are the water technology which can be used to avoid the water crisis. Okay, if you just go through the past 1 year, if you're following social media, you might have come across number of things. And if you're staying in Bangalore, last year we had, not last year, this year only we had the water crisis, right? So we had the water crisis, number of areas they didn't get water. We had a question in the examination as to how we can tackle the water crisis. Okay, you got it? Yes. Next, in the GS4, though they won't be asking the technology directly, they'll ask about the ethical impact of the technology. Okay, of lately we are seeing number of issues with respect to the technology, especially after the rise of AI. Okay, yes, yes. So you should not limit your science and technology to technology alone. Okay, you should have a little broader understanding of all the topics. Okay, in my class, I'll be covering the basic concepts. Mainly, I'll be focusing on the technology and the application. I'll discuss the issues also. Okay, few of the issues will have ethical implication. I'll be discussing over there. Okay, but additionally, if you come across any of the articles in the examination when they talk about any ethical implication or any issue on the society or governance as such, then you should read them additionally. Okay, you got it? Yes. See here, there are a number of applications. Say for example, here GS4, every now and then the government will be releasing one or the other application for the governance process. Okay. So for the governance, they release a lot of application. They use AI, they use blockchain and various other things. I won't be discussing all those things in the classes. My focus will be on ensuring that you will be able to understand the topics. They won't ask what is the application behind the particular software or anything as such. Okay. But at least you should know what is the technology at least being used in those applications as such. Okay, you got it? Yes? Yes. Okay, so and now, so this is just a broader understanding of the science and technology. Okay, so these are all the topics which I'll be discussing in the class. Okay, so when we start with the take up with the classes, these are all the topics which we'll be discussing: space and astronomy, defense, particle physics, energy and transport, biotechnology, health and diseases, computers, supercomputers, quantum computers, AI, big data, robotics, telecom, IoT, cyber physical systems, nanotechnology, blockchain and cryptocurrencies, additive manufacturing and 3D printing. Okay. Yes. So these are all the topics which we will be discussing in the class. Okay. Apart from that, we have other themes also which are related to the science. One is Arctic and Antarctic. Okay. Here, as such, there is nothing for the science. Most of the questions will be from the environment perspective. They would have discussed about the Arctic, Antarctic region in your environment class, where they discussed like how the glaciers are melting, what is the impact, and all those things will be discussed in your class. Yes? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. So they will be discussed over there. In our science class, we'll just discuss what are the research stations which are present over there. That's all. Okay, we won't be discussing too much as to what is taking place within the Arctic, what is taking place in the Antarctic. All those things are from the environment. They would have covered it in detail. Okay, they would have covered it in detail. Here in Arctic and Antarctic, we'll be mainly focusing on what all are the research stations which are present over there. That's all. Okay. Then intellectual property rights is little important for us. Government bodies, research institutions, schemes, programs, achievements of Indians, indigenization of technology and developing new technology, all these things, at least the recent ones, I'll be discussing all those things when we discuss all the topics. If anything new comes up here, I'll be adding it in the class itself. Okay, I won't be discussing these things separately again. Okay, I won't be discussing these things separately again. In the topics itself, I'll be discussing which all are the bodies which are involved over there. If there is any initiative, I'll be discussing the initiatives also, any program, policy, any new technology, any indigenization process, everything I'll be discussing for the topics simultaneously. I won't be discussing them separately in the class. Okay, you got it? Yes. Next one, history of science and technology in India. For this, I have told you, you should read the ancient and medieval history. When you read the ancient and medieval history, you should go through the, generally I think they will be discussing in the class also. Along with that, just one paragraph in your each and every chapter where they discuss what is the technology which is prevalent during that time, just to ensure that you are able to answer the question in the examination. That's all. Okay. It is very rare that they'll ask the question. If they ask, you should be ready. Okay. If they ask, you should be ready. Okay. Yes. Yes. So with this, I'll just give you a general orientation of how or what is the nature of question being asked in the examination. What should be your focus area as such? Okay. Now, what is the books you should refer? NCERTs. Okay, if you are very weak with the science and technology, then you should start with your NCERTs so that you have a basic understanding of the NCERTs. Okay. In the class, I'll be discussing about the basic concepts as such. I won't be going saying that what is taught in physics, chemistry, biology, like nothing like that. For each and every topic, I'll be discussing what is the basic aspect of those topics, and I'll be talking the technology aspect in the class itself. Okay. Yes. Next one, the most important source is the newspaper and the current affairs, and apart from this, online search on specific topics. Okay. Now, apart from this, we have one more book which is present, that is Science and Technology by Ravi Agrari. Okay. You can refer that book also if you feel that you are a little weak with the science and technology. Okay. Otherwise, focus on current affairs, that's more than enough. Okay. Generally, I recommend candidates to read at least 2 years of current affairs. Okay. Generally, I recommend candidates to read at least 2 years of the current affairs. Say if you are writing examination for 25, then read the current affairs of 23 and 24 also. Okay, you got it? So 2 years of current affairs for the examination and you will be ready. You will be easily be able to answer at least 80% of the questions in the science and technology. Okay? Yes? Yes. Okay. And this is all about the books and how you should make notes. This is how you make the notes. Okay. So when you make notes, any topic comes up in the newspaper or while you're reading anything, you should know what the concept is. You should know what the basic facts are. What are its application? Are there any government initiatives? Are there any issues which are present? Any way forward. This is how you will make your notes. Okay. If you make your notes like this, you will be exam ready. Okay. Yes. Yes. Okay. So with this, we will be concluding with the orientation class. Do people have any doubt with respect to the science and technology orientation session as such? No? No doubts? Okay. Am I going too fast for you people? No? If you have anything, any concerns as such, if you feel shy to ask in open, you can walk in the cabin, or we have online facility which ensures your privacy and I will be able to answer your questions. Okay. So don't hesitate in asking any questions as such. Okay. If you have any questions, you can ask directly in the class, or we have chat box which is present over here and I will be answering your questions. Okay. Yes. So with this, we will take on 10 minutes of break and we will start with the class again. We will start with the topics as such. Okay. Yes. Okay. One more thing. Okay. I'll be sharing my PPTs with you also. Okay. So if you are writing down what is present over here, I'll be sharing the PPTs for you. Okay. And one more thing I need to give you. Okay. See, for few of the topics, if it is just the factual notes, I'll give the just fact sheet for you people. Important mains topics I'll be dictating in the class. Few of the facts which will be present on the PPTs itself. For that, I won't be giving notes as such. Okay. Most of the PPT, they are very detailed one. Okay. And they have a lot of facts, information are present on the PPTs itself. Okay. If the information is not present over there, then I'll dictate the facts for you in the class itself. Okay. If it is too factual, I'll be giving the fact sheet. Few mains topics, I'll be discussing the topics in the class itself. I'll be giving out the detecting you the notes over there. Okay. Apart from this, in science and technology, we have lot of topics. Okay. And for them, most of the topics I've covered the important points on the slides itself. Okay. So I'll be sharing you the slides also. Okay. Yes. Shall we start with the class? Yes? Shall we start? Yes. Okay. So first we will be starting with a very easy topic, space. Okay. Of lately you might have been hearing a lot of things about this space, and it is one of the easiest one to understand in the science and technology. Okay. So we'll start with the space and astronomy. What is space? Anything beyond Earth's atmosphere, we call it as the space. Okay, anything beyond the Earth's atmosphere, we call it as space. What is astronomy? Study of celestial bodies. Yes. Study of celestial bodies, that is those bodies which are present outside the Earth. That is what is astronomy. Okay, astronomy in simple terms, studying the universe itself. Okay, it is studying the universe, the celestial bodies, the processes which are taking place, and various other events across the universe. So we'll be studying under these headings. Okay. So space as such has been a very interesting topic. Okay, since a very long period of time. Okay, you might have heard about the Aryabhatta. Those times itself, people were talking about how the space is. Okay, along with that, there was one more view which was present with respect to the space. That is, they considered the space to be the heaven and the earth or the core of the earth to be the hell. Right? So earlier, whenever we talk about heaven as such, where do you point? We say this. That is, whenever we say where is heaven, we say this is heaven. This is nothing but your space or things which are present beyond the earth. It was said that there is heaven. It is a very beautiful place which is present over there. Okay, and the gods reside over there. Okay, celestial. What is the celestial? Generally indicates it is related to the gods, right? Yes. So the word as such has been derived from there itself. That is the things which are present beyond the earth. Okay. So space, the heaven. Slowly we started to study the heaven. Earlier they thought that the heaven was a very constant place, very beautiful one, not changing. Okay. All the creations of the world takes place in the heaven. Okay. And slowly they started to study, or they found out that there are a number of bodies which are present in this universe. Okay. And then they discovered that there are a few constellations which are present. What is a constellation? Group of stars arranged in a specific pattern, right? So we are given them different names. Okay. Based on that, we have the astrology, right? The astrology is based on your constellation or your stars. Whenever you are born, you are given a zodiac sign, you are given one star, you are given certain names saying that these things are derived from the specific constellation or the zodiac signs as such. These zodiac signs are nothing but the constellations which are present. This, whenever people observe the universe, humans are very creative. They found few stars. They said that okay, this looks like a lion. This is Leo. That is how they gave the name. That's all. Okay. So humans were a little creative. Slowly, they started to give names for various bodies which are present in the universe. Okay. This continued for a very long period of time, with one more theory along with this. Okay. The other theory being that the whole of the universe was created by the God. The whole of the universe was created by the God. Okay. Though the God was present, the idea of religion was present, where they said that everything in this world was created by the God. Scientific studies used to continue parallelly. Okay, they used to study what the different stars are, what all are the constellations, how they are present, etc. And they came up with certain theories also. The theories were that the Earth is at the center of the universe. Okay, all the bodies in this universe revolve around the Earth, right? Earth was at the center of the universe. All the bodies which are present in this world, they revolve around the earth. We are the superior creations of the gods. Right? Yes. So, this were the few of the theories which are present. Generally, the other theory which I told, the first one, it was generally accepted. The people used to study the zodiac signs, and over there, it was more of understanding the universe. Just they used to observe, and they used to just derive few of the things only. Whereas on the theory part, no one used to question the theory as such. That is, everyone said that God was created, sorry, the universe is created by the God, and Earth is at the center of the universe, everything revolves around them. Okay. Slowly, as the time passed on, the control of the church increased. Okay. When here I am using the word church. Church generally includes the religion. Okay. Church, whenever we talk, it is in the context of the European era. Okay, where we call the medieval time period as the Dark Ages. We call the medieval time period as the Dark Ages. It was because that during that time period, no scientific discovery took place. If anyone used to oppose the church or any ideology which was prevalent during that time, they were excommunicated or they were executed. Okay, they were excommunicated means they were thrown out of the village or the community as such, or they were executed because it was against the religion. Okay, and the strength of the church increased so much that literally no scientific discovery took place because everything what the church said was the thing which was prevalent on this earth and across the universe. But slowly, as we see that if there is too much of restriction, then there will be always a revolution, right? So when there is too much of restrictions present on the humans, few people started to work in the secret societies. Okay, that is where you all come across the term secret societies and all, because they used to work separately without being noticed by the prevailing authority or the kings who were prevailing during those time period, because kings, they used to derive their legitimacy from the god. Okay, if you have read your history, you would have seen sons of god. Yes, they use these kind of terms, right? We are the sons of the god, or we are the hand of the god, or we have taken the permission from the god, etc. All these things. So they have a moral responsibility to uphold whatever the church used to say. Okay, church in the sense whatever the religion used to say, they have to uphold it also. Otherwise, the church would not give the legitimacy, and the king would be generally been thrown out. Okay, so slowly we saw that during this time period, few of the individuals started to work. One such individual was the Galileo. Okay, Galileo, what he did, he developed, telescopes were present, but he developed one a little stronger telescope or an advanced telescope which was able to observe up to Jupiter clearly. Okay, so he developed a telescope where he used to observe the universe, and when he observed the universe, he found that okay, whatever the church has been telling, all these things are lies. He said that the earth is not at the center of the universe as such. Instead, at least for the solar system, the sun is at the center and the earth is revolving around the sun. Okay, the earth is revolving around the sun. So he came up with this theory, and he observed the Jupiter, and he found few satellites for the Jupiter also, and those satellites we name it as Galilean satellites. Okay, when we are studying Jupiter, we'll discuss what those satellites are. Okay, so he discovered few of the satellites of the Jupiter, and he observed the universe, and he said that whatever the church has been saying, it has been all wrong itself. Earth is not at the center of the universe. The universe or the space or the heaven which they were saying, it is not a stagnant place also. Earlier it was said that it is a stagnant, constant place, very beautiful, only creations takes place. But he observed that there are distractions also which are taking place in the universe. And with this, we started with the scientific revolution. they started with the scientific revolution, where slowly they started to come up with new theories to understand the universe. Slowly, they started to come up with new theories to understand the universe as such. Okay. See here, Galileo, he brought out the truth, but when he brought out the truth, he was a little influential figure during that time period. Okay, he was, I think he was one of the nobles of one of the kingdoms, and he had a very high authority. So when he discussed all these things in the open, he was excommunicated. He was sent out of the town itself, and he been living in exile for a long period of time. Okay, so here you can see that how bringing out the truth during that time period by a very influential figure also created lot of problems within the society and for oneself also. Okay, you got it? Yes. Now, in the class, every now and then, I'll be discussing few of these stories for the paper. Okay, the stories as such, they're not important for the science and technology. For you, you will get a little context of different topics as such. Apart from this, the stories are very important for your ethics and essay. Okay, for your ethics and essay, you will be needing lot of examples. Okay, for the examples in different field, you have different examples. From the scientific perspective, I'll be trying to give few of the important stories which are present, which you can use it in your ethics or essay paper. Okay, so here this Galileo one, you can use the Galileo's name in the essay whenever we talk about how people have been like we have to learn from the history. Okay, when we learn from the history, that is, we see that how people have questioned the authority. When people have questioned the authority, they have generally brought up the truth. It has led to the undermining of the authority, and it has also helped in better understanding of the society as such. Okay. Apart from this, you can also talk about the courage which was present within the Galileo. He knew that if he tell all these things, it was guaranteed that he will be sent into exile, or if the king was very cold-hearted, he would have executed the Galileo itself. This is not the first time which is these kind of situations have happened. It has happened from a very long period of time. We had Socrates. Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, have you heard of these names? Yes? Even Socrates was punished. He was said that he was corrupting the youth of the time period because they questioned the authority. When they questioned the authority, they were sent into exile. Okay? So it is not the first time Socrates was present during the BC time period, 2nd or 3rd century BC itself. During that time only, no one used to question the authority. If anyone questions the authority, they generally be used to send to exile. If they are little famous figure, they will be sent into exile or excommunicated. If they are not so famous, they will be executed in the open. And Socrates, he was said that he was corrupting the youth of the time period. Okay. So these are few of the instances which you can use in your essay or in the ethics if you have any context. Okay. So you can use these examples. See, they say that in the essay and ethics, they say that you should bring up the examples and all. Where do you bring the examples? You bring the examples from your different fields which you are studying right now. Science, polity, history, and whichever subject you study, you will be coming up with different personalities. You will be coming up different scenarios which you can use it in your essay and ethics. Okay, you got it? Yes. So here this was just one story of how we moved from the dark ages to the scientific revolution, where slowly we started to focus more on the science. Okay, the authority of the church declined. Okay, and more of the scientific theories started to come up. We started to understand how the universe works, how humans have evolved, and various other things. Okay. So initially, few of the individuals were, one of them famous was the Galileo. Okay. Yes. Yes. Now I have been telling you that the universe is the stagnant one. It is not stagnant. There are a lot of destruction and creation takes place. The creation is the formation of the stars. Okay, the creation is the formation of the stars. The stars are formed and they are destroyed. Okay, destroyed or they die actually. Okay, they die during their death. Sometimes there will be explosion also. You might have come across this term supernova. Yes, supernova explosion is an explosive death of a star. Okay, so here I will just discuss the life cycle of a star. Okay, to start with the life cycle of a star. Okay, see in the class I'll be taking very basic topics also and few of the advanced topics also. Okay, if you know the basic topics, if you are bored, should bear with me. I have to teach in the class. Okay. Here, apart from this, sometimes the questions are asked in the examination also. For example, this year we had a question related to the asteroids. Okay, it was in the mains. At least if it was a prelims one, you can somehow write something. If you don't have specific information, you won't be able to write much information in your examination. Okay, so you should have the basic understanding of the topics and their highest levels also. Okay, you got it? Yes, yes. So we'll start with the first one, that is the life cycle of a star. Okay, life cycle of a star starts with something called as nebula. Okay, the life cycle of a star starts with something called as nebula. The nebula generally they look something like this. The nebula they look something like this. These are just few of the examples. If you go to the social media, you come across different kinds of nebulas. They are given different names. Okay, some butterfly, some different names are given based on how they look as such. Okay, all of them they look different. Okay, but these are the places where these stars are born. Okay, what is this nebula? Can anyone say what is this nebula? It is basically a cloud of gas and dust. It is basically a cloud of gas and dust. Okay. In this universe, we have lot of gas and dust particles which are present, and they'll be roaming here and there. Okay, they'll be roaming here and there, just like how we have clouds on the earth. We have clouds, right? Before the formation of the clouds, we have humidity which is present. The humidity slowly, when the temperature decreases, they become water droplets, they coagulate, they are present on the particles which are present in the air, and slowly they come together to form bigger bodies. That is how the clouds are formed, right? The same way in the universe also we have lot of gas and dust particles which are present. They will be roaming in the universe as such. Sometimes what happens, they come together slowly, and over a period of time, when I say over a period of time in the context of space, it is millions of years. Okay, to just form this kind of shape, it will take more than 10 to 100 millions of years to form this particular shape or any form of cloud, or in simple terms, a nebula. For the formation of the nebula, it takes more than 10 to 100 million years. Okay, so over a period of time, the gas and the dust particles will start getting collected at one particular place. Okay, and slowly they start taking certain shapes as such. Initially, it will be an irregular shape. Initially, it will be an irregular shape. But as and when the particles start to collect together, the mass of the particles will increase. Okay, as and when the particles collect with each other, the mass or the weight of the particles will start increasing. As the mass increases, we see that the gravity will also increase, right? What is a gravity? What is a gravity? It is a force of attraction. It is a force of attraction between two bodies which have mass. It is a force of attraction between two bodies which have mass. Greater the mass, greater is the gravity. So as and when these dust particles they started to collect together, slowly they'll get some mass. If they get mass, means they will get some gravity also. So slowly they start pulling up the particles which are moving around them also. Okay, you got it? Yes. So initially they will be roaming freely. Slowly they will come together in contact. Once they come into the contact, they'll start becoming bigger and bigger body. As they become bigger bodies, there will be little mass within them. They'll get some gravity, and they start pulling up the materials which are present around them also. Okay. So slowly they'll start becoming bigger and bigger in size. After reaching certain weight or mass, they'll start taking up certain shape. Here it is mainly a disc shaped one. Okay, disc shape with a center, a spear kind of thing will be present within at the center. Okay, so it will look something like this. Initially it will be an irregular shape. I showed you here. In this one they showed you the circular one itself. It is not always that it will be a circular one. It will be of irregular shapes. Okay, but over a period of time, once they get mass, slowly they start taking up this shape, and the shape, the final shape will be the spear. Spear is said to be the most stable form or the shape which is present. Okay. So here slowly over a period of time, that is it takes billions of years for a star to be formed. It takes billions of years for a star to be formed. So initially there will be irregular shaped clouds. Slowly, because of the gravity, they start taking up the shape of a circle. I'll use the term here, circle or sphere. So irregular shape will be present. Slowly will take this shape of the sphere, and here the mass will be increasing. So the gravity will also be increasing. The gravity will also be increasing. So slowly its size will be reducing. Its size will be reducing because all the particles which are present over here will be attracted towards the center. They will be attracted towards the center. So slowly they will be moving inside. Apart from this, the mass is increasing, so they will attract other bodies which are present also. Other particles or any body which is present, all those things will be attracted. Okay. As and when its size increases, mass increases, some amount of heat is also generated. Some amount of heat is also generated. Okay. For example, if you just take your hand itself, if you just give some pressure to your hand, after 10 seconds, you will feel some heat which is present within your hand, right? Yes, it is because of the pressure you give to your hand. At the center, you will feel that there is some heat which is being generated. The same will happen here also. Okay, so some heat will be generated, and this heat slowly they will release light. Okay, slowly they will release light. Once the light is released, we call it as the protostar. Once the light is released, we call it as protostar. Okay, protostar is a star or the formation of this stage, one stage in the formation of the star, where they release light, because of the internal heat, because of the internal heat. Okay, any doubts? Any doubts till now? No? Yes. So now we saw the formation of the protostar. Once we saw that the protostars are formed, they won't be properly the sphere as such. They'll be like a disc shaped one. Okay, and slowly over a period of time, again the process will continue. The process will continue for a billion more years, and then we see the formation of a star. The star is formed when for the first time the nuclear fusion reaction starts. The starting of the nuclear fusion reaction in the star indicates the birth of the star, indicates the birth of the star. Okay. See, here I said earlier the heat which is generated, the heat here generated is just the pressure of the mass. The gravity and the pressure which is created within the body, it is leading to the creation of the heat. Because of that heat, we see that some light is being emitted. That phase we call it as the protostar. That phase we call it as the protostar. Slowly, over a period of time, I told you that despite being a protostar, it will still be attracting various bodies along with it. Okay. So slowly, its size will be increasing, and it will reach certain stage where the temperature will be enough to start a nuclear fusion reaction. The temperature within the sun, it is said to be about 2 to 3 million degrees Celsius. When there is 2 to 3 million degrees Celsius, at that pressure and at that temperature, we see that there is nuclear fusion reaction. Okay? At such high pressure and such high temperature, we have nuclear fusion reaction. Once the nuclear fusion starts, that indicates that the star has been born. Okay? Once the nuclear fusion reaction starts, that indicates that the star has been born. Okay? Now, after a star is born, okay, there is one more phase which is present, that is called as T-Tauri phase. What is this T-Tauri phase? The star is born, but the star is not stable yet. Okay, our sun, we have our sun. The sun, it is stable. We know that what the diameter of the sun is exactly the same, and it has been present since 4-5 billion years ago. Thus, it is stable by nature. Initially, the star will not be stable. Here, when I say stable, its size will be still contracting, means its size will be reducing over a period of time because of the gravity. Okay, and that phase where we have nuclear fusion reaction which is taking place, and the size of the star is still decreasing, we call it as T-Tauri phase. Okay, T-Tauri phase is a phase where the nuclear fusion reaction is taking place in the star, but the star is still collapsing or its size is still reducing and is on way to become a stable star. Okay, and this stable star we call it as main sequence star. We call it as main sequence star. Whenever we use the term star, it is the main sequence star. Okay, whenever we use the term star, it indicates that it is a main sequence star. It is a stable one, its size is not increasing, not decreasing, nothing is happening. Only nuclear fusion reaction. Okay, you got it? Yes? Any doubts till here? Okay. So initially we have random gas and dust things which are present in the universe. Slowly they come together, they form one cloud. We call that cloud as the nebula. Slowly it will develop some mass, it will have gravity, it will attract more and more particles towards itself. Initially it will be irregular shape, slowly it will start taking up certain shape. After attaining certain mass, some heat will be generated. Once the heat is generated and light is produced, we call it as protostar. Over a period of time, the heat will increase furthermore because of more and more mass, more and more attraction, and it will reach a stage where it will start the nuclear fusion reaction. Nuclear fusion reaction, once it starts in the star, it indicates the birth of the star. But after the star is formed, it won't be always stable. Sometime it will be still in a process of reducing its size. Okay. Here the reduction of the size is because of the gravitational attraction, which will be still taking place, and over a period of time it will become stable, and we call it as the main sequence star. Our sun is a main sequence star. Okay, our sun is a main sequence star. Yes? Any doubts till now? No? Okay. Now here we see that after our star is born, there are two lines which are present over here. Okay. Generally, the stars, they are divided into two broad categories. One is the small stars, the other one is the big stars. Okay. Or in other words, we use the term dwarf stars, giant stars. Okay. Dwarf stars or giant stars. Okay. Dwarf stars are small stars, giant stars are big stars. We have created two different categories because both of these stars die in different manner. Both of these stars die in a different manner. Okay. Once a star is formed, based on the mass of the star, their end product will be different. Based on the mass of the star, the end product will be different. Here we have one contribution by an Indian, Chandrasekhar Limit. Have you heard of Chandrasekhar limit? Yes? What is Chandrasekhar limit? What is Chandrasekhar limit? Anyone? Yes? Yes. Stars below the mass of 1.44 times that of the solar mass. Solar mass is nothing but sun's mass. If the mass is below 1.44 times that of the solar mass, then it will become a stable white dwarf. They will become a stable white dwarf. If the mass is more than 1.44 times that of the solar mass, then they won't become a white dwarf. Instead, they will become either a neutron star or a black hole. Okay? So, there is one limit called as Chandrasekhar limit. The limit, it basically indicates the highest mass of a stable white dwarf, that is 1.44 times that of the solar mass. Here, if the mass is less than 1.44 times that of the solar mass, it will become a stable white dwarf. Otherwise, it will turn into a neutron star or a black hole. Okay? Yes? So, this limit is generally used to divide the stars. Okay? And it is not always that the giant stars is 1.44, sometimes there different categories are used. Okay? Giant here in this particular context indicates the big stars. For some person, the giant star can be that which produces more number of light, or more brighter stars are considered as the giant stars. Okay? So, there are different terms or the terminology is being used here, but for this context, the dwarf star or the small stars are the one which die as white dwarf. Big stars are the ones which die as the neutron star or the black hole. Okay? And the limit which decides these two is the Chandrasekhar limit, which is 1.44 times that of the solar mass. Okay? Yes? So, now we will discuss the first one, that is the small stars one. Okay? Small stars, our sun is an example for a small star. Okay? The small stars, slowly as they age, okay, they will be burning all their fuel which is present. Okay. The fuel, what is the fuel in the star? Hydrogen. Hydrogen is the fuel in the star. So initially while I was explaining, I said that there is a lot of gas which is present. The gas is mostly hydrogen, some amount of helium. Okay, mostly hydrogen and some amount of helium and other particles are also present. Okay, mostly it is the hydrogen. So the star, it is full of hydrogen. We'll take it as full of hydrogen just for our understanding. Okay, so it is full of hydrogen. Slowly as it ages, it burns the fuel, right? So it ages, it will be burning the fuel and its fuel content will be reducing. Its fuel content will be reducing. Initially, the burning will be at the core, that is at the center of the star. There will be nuclear fusion reaction which will be taking place. But as and when the fuel is burnt at the center, it will start spreading outside. Means initially it will be at the center, slowly they start burning the fuel which are present outside, right? Because all the fuel at the center would be exhausted. Once the fuel at the center is exhausted, slowly it will start burning the fuel outside. Okay. Now, whenever a nuclear fusion reaction takes place, you might have seen the bombs and all. When the bomb explodes, lot of energy is generated. External pressure is created. Because of the nuclear fusion reaction, lot of pressure is created which is directed outwards. Whereas because of the mass of the star, we have gravitational force. Because of the gravitational mass, because of the mass, we have the gravitational force, and this gravitational force will be greater than that of the energy which is generated at the core. Energy which is generated at the core. Hence, the size will be same for most of the time period. But as it ages, in a star, I told you, they start burning outer layers, and at the end, just they are about to die. Say if you take it as 100 years, when it comes to 80 years or something like that, okay, here they will be at the outer space. Now here we will discuss a little bit about your CSAT as such. Okay, so you might have heard about the sphere. In the sphere, at the center, the volume is less, so we have lesser fuel, right? Lesser fuel means less energy is generated. In a sphere, as we go outward, the volume increases, right? Yes or no? Yes. Here, the volume of fuel is very high. The volume of fuel is very high. It is so high that the energy which is generated will be greater than that of the gravitational force. The energy which is generated will be greater than that of the gravitational force. So now, till now, the gravitational force ensured that the size of the mass, size of the body remains constant. But now the situation has arisen where, because of the high fuel, there is more energy which is generated, more external energy. Here, the size of the star will start increasing. The size of the star will start increasing. And this phase, we call it as the red giant. They are just stars which are about to die. They are just stars which are about to die. Means here you can see at the outer layer we have the highest energy. Okay. So at the highest energy means it is almost about to die. So this stage the size will start increasing. And the size will increase to almost 10 to 100 times that of the original diameter. 10 to 100 times that of the original diameter. Okay. So if you take the case of the sun, okay, now the sun is very small. Okay. When it is at the red giant stage, one of the theory says that it will even swallow the Earth also. That will be the size of the Earth. What is the distance between the Earth and the Sun? 150 million kilometers. Okay, and the diameter of the Sun is almost 1.5 million kilometers. Okay, so it will increase almost 100 times. Okay, it will literally swallow the planet Earth. So at the red giant stage, it is nothing but the end stage of a star whose size is very big. Okay, whose size is very big, and this we call it as the red giant. Okay, and I told you the reason why it is big. It is because the energy which is generated from the nuclear fusion reaction is greater than that of the gravitational force. Hence, it forces the outer layer to escape the gravity. It forces the outer layer to escape the gravity, which leads to the expansion of this star, that is increase in the size of the star. Okay, and that star we call it as the red giant. After red giant, now we saw that it is almost at the end, then they will die. When they die, the outer layer which is present, which has expanded too much, it will be released as planetary nebula. Okay, it will be released as a planetary nebula. Okay, planetary nebula is nothing but the outer layer which was present and it has been released into the universe again. Okay, it will be released in the universe again. And the leftover thing at the center is the white dwarf. Okay, once all the nuclear fusion reaction is done, the outer layer will be escaped into the space or the universe. It will be called as the planetary nebula, and the core part which will be left behind, it will be called as white dwarf. Any doubts? Any doubts? No? No doubts, right? Okay. Now, so here we see that white dwarf. It is called as white dwarf because it looks in white in color. Okay. Here you see that it is white in color, means it is still emitting light. It is still emitting light. There is no nuclear fusion reaction which is taking place. It is just that some remnant light which is present or remnant heat which is present within the star. Okay, just like we have the old tube light. Once we switch off the tube light, it won't switch off immediately. It takes 2-3 seconds because there was some energy which is left behind. Despite no electricity being provided, for 2-3 seconds you will see that there is still light which is present. It is because of the remaining heat which is present within that particular bulb. The same will happen here also. Okay, here the temperature is millions of degrees Celsius. So obviously it will be bright enough. Okay, it will be bright enough and it will be for a very long duration of time. Okay, yes. So they will die as white dwarf, and it will look white in color because of the remnant heat which will be present within the star. And after all the heat is released, it will become a black dwarf. It will become a black dwarf. Okay, so after all the heat is released from the white dwarf, no more light is emitted, so it will look black in color, that is black dwarf. Okay, I said you it is black in color. We don't know what the color is because till date we have not found or discovered even a single black dwarf. Okay, whatever we have observed, all those things have been the white dwarf itself. Okay, we have not seen any star which has reached the stage of black dwarf. Okay, got it? Yes. So most of the stars which you have seen, in the sense the dead stars, all the dead stars have been the white dwarfs itself. Okay. Yes. So this is about the small stars. Small stars, they will die before their death. They will be red giant. Then they die as a white dwarf. The external layer will be released as a planetary nebula, and the white dwarf will have some remnant heat which will be present. which will lead to the production of heat, light. That light over a period of time will be removed, that is all the heat will be removed, and that stage we call it as the black dwarf. Okay? Yes? Yes. Now, here we saw that we have used the term planetary nebula. This will again form a source for the formation of a new star. Okay? After the birth of the universe, a death of a star will lead to the birth of another star. Okay? A death of a star will lead to the birth of another star. Okay? Because here we are releasing the planetary nebula again, and this nebula will again travel around the universe for millions of years and will take billions of years for a star to be formed. Okay? So, a death of a star means it is providing energy or source for the birth of another star in the universe. Okay? You got it? Yes. Now, the same process will go for the big stars also. Big stars, we have big stars, they will die as red supergiants. Okay? Just before their death, they will be red supergiants. As the stars are very big, the size of red giant is also very big. So, they have just given one more name to it, red supergiants. Okay? So, red supergiant indicates the end stages of a bigger star or giant stars. Okay? Bigger stars or the giant stars, and they die with an explosive death. Okay? And that explosion we call it as supernova. The explosive death of a star is called as supernova. Okay? So, here the red giant, they will have so much of energy that while they are dying, there will be a big explosion which will take place. Okay? And that explosion we call it as supernova explosion or supernova. Okay? And they will be very, very bright. Literally, they will be so bright that the whole of the galaxy can see the light, and the light can sometimes be present for days together. Means say if there is any supernova explosion near our sun, then we might witness a time period where there won't be any night at all. Okay? So, that will be the brightness of the supernova explosion. Okay? They will be releasing lot of light. After the death, explosion will take place. After explosion, there will be some core part which will be left behind. That core part will either die as a neutron star or a black hole. The core part will die as a neutron star or a black hole. Okay? Smaller ones within the giant stars, the smaller ones they will form the neutron stars. Within the giant stars, the bigger ones they will form the black holes. Okay? Within the giant stars, the smaller ones of the giant stars they will form the neutron stars. The bigger ones they will form the black holes. Okay? Now, they have used some term neutron star and black hole. Can anyone say what is a neutron star? What is a neutron star? Yes? Have you heard of the term neutron? Yes? Where have you heard the term neutron? In an atom we have electron, proton, neutron, right? Yes. Okay. After the supernova explosion, these giant stars, their mass will be so high that they will collapse within themselves, and because of this high gravity, all the neutrons and the protons which are present within that will collapse together and form neutrons. That is why the term neutron is used over here. Okay? It is said that after the death, the mass will be so high that the gravity will ensure or will collapse the electrons and the protons which are present within the stars, and they will form the neutrons. That is why the term neutron star is used over here. Okay? You got it? Yes. Here also they have high gravity. What is a black hole? What is a black hole? Yes? No? No? What is singularity? Infinite gravity. Yes. See, it is nothing but a body whose gravity is so high that even light cannot escape out of it. Okay? It is a body whose gravity is so high that even the light cannot escape out of it. Such kind of bodies we call it as black holes. Okay? Black holes are those bodies whose gravity is so high that even the light cannot escape out of those bodies. And those bodies we call it as the black holes. Okay? You got it? Any doubts? Any doubts with respect to the life cycle of a star? No? Okay. So this is all about the birth and the death of the stars. Okay. I have explained the process to you. See, for you, all you have to know is what all are the different celestial bodies which are present. These are the celestial bodies which are present in this universe. Okay. So along with the bodies, I just told you how these are born, how they die. Okay. You got it? Yes. Apart from this, we have various other bodies also. There is one more term which we use often, that is brown dwarf. During the life cycle of a star itself, okay, we have different bodies which are formed. One such body is a brown dwarf. There is one more body, red dwarf. One more is the planet and various other bodies. All the things, they are formed out of the same nebula. Nebula is the source of all the celestial body in this universe. Even the asteroids are formed out of the nebula itself. They are nothing but the remnant parts of the nebula. After the star is formed, if something is left behind, they form planets. Okay. After the formation of planets, if something is left behind, that is the asteroids. Okay. You got it? Yes. So they all have the same source, that is the nebula. Okay. Red dwarf is nothing but a star which is faint, means the brightness is less. Okay, red dwarf is nothing but a star whose brightness is less, or faint star. Okay, brightness is less. The another one celestial body which is present is the brown dwarf. Brown dwarf is nothing but a celestial body whose size is not so big enough to form a star, but too big to be called a planet. Okay. For any star to be called as a star, there should be nuclear fusion reaction. If there is no nuclear fusion reaction, then it won't be a star. To attain nuclear fusion reaction, it should attain certain mass which should be very high. If a nebula is just enough to produce only heat and it is not capable to produce any kind of nuclear fusion reaction, then they will turn into a brown dwarf. Okay? Brown dwarfs are not so big to be called as star, but too big to be called as planets. Okay? Yes? Yes. And then we have the planets, which we will be discussing it later. Okay? All the celestial bodies which are present in this universe, they have the same source, that is the nebula. Okay? Yes? Yes. So this is a supernova explosion. Okay. During the supernova explosion, I told you that when the explosion takes place, this will be the core part which will be left behind. and this is the external part which will be released into the atmosphere. This is also again called as the planetary nebula itself. Okay, there is no different terms for both the small and the big stars. It is the same part, that is the planetary nebula. But if it is an explosive, that we call it as a supernova. Otherwise, it will just be a white dwarf itself. Okay. So during the explosion, after the explosion, some part will be left behind, and this will then later on become either a neutron star or the black hole. Okay, you got it? So here we will have one star, and there will be explosion. But explosion, you can see the brightness. They have shown this brightness. It is because the same thing will be present. If you use a camera, it will be bright for a very long period of time. Okay. So here the explosion will take place. Similar to supernova, there is one more thing which is present, that is called as nova. Okay. Nova is a situation which occurs on a binary star system. Okay, it's okay. So in the binary star system, okay, we have something called as binary star system. In the binary star system, we have two stars which will be revolving around each other. Okay, so here we can see that this is one big star, there is one small star which is present. And in this case, generally in the binary star cases, there will be one small star, one will be a big star. Okay. Sometimes what happens, the small star will die first. Okay. When the small star will die first, that time the gravity will be very high, and they will start absorbing the material which is present on the other star. Okay, they will start absorbing the material which is present on the other star. Here you can see that they are absorbing the material. When they absorb the material, sometimes they accumulate so much of material that a small explosion will take place. This explosion we call it as nova. This explosion we call it as nova. Okay. So here we have binary star system. In a binary star system, okay, in a binary star system, there will be a small star which will be present. Okay, it is not just a small star; it is a dead star actually. Okay, this dead star, generally the dead stars will have very high gravity. They start attracting the particles which are present on the surface of the another star which is present around it. Okay, so they will start absorbing the material. Slowly, slowly it will accumulate the material. Once it has accumulated certain mass or sufficient amount of fuel on it, an explosion will take place, and that explosion we call it as nova. Okay, you got it? So this image describes the process in a very short period of time, absorbing the material, and the explosion will take place. That's all. This is called as the nova. Okay, this is called as nova. Okay, and this takes place in a binary star system. Okay, binary star system is a system where two stars will revolve around each other. Okay, two stars will revolve around each other. We have 1 and 2, both will be revolving around each other itself. Okay, yes. When there might be one situation where sometimes one star will die, and once that star is dead, this one will start absorbing the material from the other one, attracting the material which is present on the surface of the other body. Slowly, slowly it will accumulate certain mass, and an explosion will take place. This is called as nova. Okay. Any doubts with respect to nova? No? Okay. So, now we will discuss one more celestial body, that is the black hole. Okay, we will discuss one more celestial body, that is the black hole. This is the image of a black hole. Okay, this is how a black hole looks like. Okay. Yes. Okay. So here we'll just discuss a little bit about the parts of the black holes. Okay, black holes have been in news. Indian government, specifically the ISRO, it has taken up number of research activities to study the black holes. Okay. So in this slide, we should know a little bit in detail about the black holes also. Okay. So this is how a black hole looks like. Okay. This is just the graphic image. The image which we took was this one. Okay, it is captured by the telescopes, and they have captured this image of the black hole. Do you find anything odd over here? No? Yes? I told you we cannot capture images, like the black holes do not release any material outside itself. Yes or no? While defining black hole, I said that black holes are the bodies whose gravity is so high that they do not release any light. If they do not release any light, then how can we capture an image? Capturing the light which is present outside the event horizon. Okay. Here, this image, the bright part is nothing but this bright part which is present outside the black hole. The center one, dark one, is actually the black hole. That one, the core part, we call it as the singularity. The core part of the black hole, we call it as the singularity. Core part, when I say, it is the part which has mass. It is the part which has mass. And because of the very high mass, it has very high gravity. It is said that infinite gravity, because we cannot measure what is the gravity which is present on these bodies. That's why we call it as infinite gravity. So the gravity is so high that nothing escapes out of it. Okay. The size of the body will be small actually. This would be the size of the body as such. Here, we see that despite this, we have a very large black region which is present, right? This black region as such, it is the zone of influence of the gravity. It is the zone of influence of the gravity, where the gravity is very high, so that light cannot not escape. This is also the zone of influence of gravity. But here, the gravity is so high enough that even the light cannot escape out of it. Okay. See here, when we say sun, sun will be here. Okay. Despite Earth being about 150 million kilometers away from the sun, it is still under the influence of gravity, right? In the same way, the body will be at the core part itself, at the center, it will have a very wide range of influence. Okay, it will have a very wide range of influence, and this part, the outermost part, where the light cannot escape out of it, we call it as the event horizon. Okay, the outermost part of the influence of the gravity, where the light cannot escape out of the gravity, we call that part as the event horizon. Okay, that is nothing but this line which is there over here. We cannot say what is there within this thing. Yes. So first we have singularity, that is the core part. This core has a zone of influence of the gravity. Its zone of influence is so high that the light cannot escape. The last point where the light can reach is the event horizon. Okay. Outside the event horizon, we have the photon sphere. It is nothing but one place where there are a lot of photons which are present. It is in the plasma state. Okay, most of the materials here have very high temperature and they are present in the plasma state, and they will be revolving around the black hole. They will be revolving around the black hole. Okay, the closed one we call it as the photon sphere. The outside one we call it as the accretion disk. Okay, here also we have gas and dust particle which will be revolving around them. Here you should write it as, if they ask specifically, it will be in plasma state. What is plasma? It is the fourth state of matter. How many states of matter are there? 5? 4? 5. Which all are they? Solid, liquid, gas, photon, plasma. Then next, you said 5, right? Bose-Einstein condensate is the fifth state. Okay. This one is at very high temperature. That one is at very low temperature. Okay. At literally about 0 degrees Celsius, we have the Bose-Einstein condensate, which is the fifth state. Okay. So here plasma, they are at very high temperature. Generally at millions of degrees Celsius, we have the plasma particles. Okay. And then Bose-Einstein condensate. Okay. So photon sphere, near ones we call it as the photon sphere. The outer one, the whole region we call it as the accretion disk. Okay. And now, apart from this, black holes, they not only absorb light. Sometimes what happens, they absorb the neighboring star also. Okay. If there is any star which is moving along or going next to the black hole, okay, you cannot see the image here clearly. Okay. Okay. See, black holes, the gravity is so high that if any star is passing along it, they will absorb even the star as such. They will absorb the whole of the stars within themselves because the gravity is very high. So here we have one case, okay, it is very dark over here. This is the place we have the black hole, and we saw that the star was moving something like this. Okay, because of the influence of the gravity, its direction changed. Okay, and it will absorb the whole of the star itself. Okay, it will absorb the whole of the star itself. During the process of absorption, sometimes some radiations are released. Sometimes the radiations are released. We call it as the relativistic jets. Okay, we call it as the relativistic jets. Okay, so when the stars are absorbed, that time some of the particles or light radiations are released, and these particles and light radiation we call it as the relativistic jets. Okay, this one. Okay, if you just see, this is the event horizon or the black hole as such. Photon sphere, very bright one. This is the accretion disk as such. This is the relativistic jets. Okay, when this star is absorbed, these kind of radiations are also released outside. Okay, you got it? Any doubts with respect to the parts of the black hole? Any doubts? No? Okay. So recently one video was released by the NASA as to how the black holes look like. Okay, so they just created one animated video where they say that what will we see if we go inside the black hole as such. Okay, we won't see anything. Okay, but they still released one video. I think it is just 1 or 2 minutes of video. I'll just play the video for you people. This is the image of the black hole. Okay, you won't see anything at all. Okay, except that if you just see the video over here. This is the other galaxy which is present around the black hole, which will be visible. Once you enter into it, you won't be able to see anything as such. Okay. This is actually a 3D video. If you want to watch it properly as such, you can watch it on the YouTube. Okay, if you have the AR glasses and all, VR glasses, then you can watch it properly, where you can turn your faces everywhere, and everywhere you will be able to see the whole of the black hole as such. Okay, so it is actually a 3D video which was released by the NASA itself, where they just gave one video saying that how it will feel if we go inside the black hole. Okay, yes. Now we'll get back to the class. Okay. Now here the black holes, there are different categories of black holes which are present. Okay. These categories are mainly based on the mass of the black hole. That's all. Okay. So based on the mass of the black hole, we have three categories of black holes. One is stellar, the other one is intermediate mass, the other one is the supermassive black holes. Okay. Stellar ones 5 to 100 times that of the sun, 5 to 100 times that of the sun. Intermediate 100 to 1 lakh, and supermassive more than 1 lakh times that of the solar mass. Okay, 1 lakh times that of the solar mass. Okay. So there are three categories, that is stellar, intermediate mass, and the supermassive. Okay. These are the ones which we have discovered till now. For the first time, the black hole as a concept was given by Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein gave the concept of black hole while he brought out his book, that is General Theory of Relativity. When he brought out this book, General Theory of Relativity, he said that there is something called as black holes which exist in this universe. Okay, and then he gave the concept. After 4-5 decades after that one, we were able to discover for the first time that there is something called as black holes which are present. And then after he gave the concept, Stephen Hawking also came up with one more thing. Albert Einstein, while he gave the theory, he said that if the mass is less than 5 solar mass, we won't be discovering any black holes as such. Means broadly he categorized again. In the life cycle we discussed that few will turn into neutron star and few will turn into black hole. He said that if the mass of this star is less than 5, then it will turn into a neutron star, otherwise it will turn into a black hole as such. Stephen Hawking then said that okay, what we have discovered is correct, but he said that the black holes will be present whose size is less than that of the 5 solar mass also. He said that he has conceptualized a new category of black hole called as miniature black holes. They are yet to be discovered. Okay, they are yet to be discovered. Stephen Hawking, he said that there are chances that we can find black holes whose mass is less than that of the 5 solar masses also. Okay, less than that of the 5 solar masses also, and he gave the name as miniature black holes. Okay, these are yet to be discovered. We have examples for all these things. We do not have any for miniature ones. Okay, it is just a concept till now. Okay, first time the concept of black hole was given by Albert Einstein in his work General Theory of Relativity. Okay, after that Stephen Hawking in the year 1971, he came up with one more thing, saying that it is not only that the bigger stars will have the black holes, even the smaller stars can also have a black holes. That will be the miniature black holes. Okay, he gave it as tiny black holes. We give it as tiny black holes. Tiny black holes, miniature black holes, all are of same. They are just concepts which are yet to be discovered in this universe. Okay, which are yet to be discovered in this universe. Yes? Any doubts here? No doubts? Okay. Now, okay. Then we have, go to the next topic, that is galaxy. What is a galaxy? It is just a group of stars. That is, it is a collection of stars. Okay, that's all. There is nothing over there. Okay, it is just a group or collection of stars. Okay, there are different categories of uh, gal- uh, okay, there are different categories of galaxies which are present. Okay, broadly we have three categories of galaxies. First is elliptical, the second one is spiral, and the third one is irregular galaxies. Okay, the first one is elliptical, the second one is spiral, and the third one is the irregular galaxies. And as you can see, it is based on the shapes. So these galaxies have been categorized based on the shapes. If the shape is in elliptical or ellipse, we call it as elliptical galaxy. Andromeda is an example for an elliptical galaxy. What is Andromeda? Have you heard of the word Andromeda? What is it? It is the nearest galaxy. It is the nearest galaxy. Okay, which is our galaxy? Milky Way. Okay, it is the nearest galaxy to the Milky Way. The next one we have the spiral galaxies. Okay, spiral galaxies, they look something like a starfish. Okay, so we have one core at the center, and there are number of arms which are present around it. There are number of arms which are present around it. So these kind of galaxies, we call it as the spiral galaxies. Example is Whirlpool galaxy. Whirlpool galaxy is an example of spiral galaxy. And then within this spiral galaxy, okay, we have barreled spiral. Okay, within the spiral, we have the barreled spiral. What is this barrel? Instead of a sphere at the center, we have a cylinder at the center, that is a barrel will be present. In this, along this we have the arms. Along this we have the arms. This we call it as barreled spiral galaxy. Example, Milky Way. As it is Milky Way, few of the scientists, they categorize this as a different one itself, that is barreled spiral galaxy. Okay. Some places you will read it as only elliptical, spiral and irregular. Some places you will read it as four separate categories. Okay. It is just because of the Milky Way, which is a barrel spiral one. Some consider it as a part of spiral one, some consider it as a different one itself. Okay. You don't have to think much, this won't be asked in the examination. I have to just tell you for the general information. Okay. Yes. The first one is the elliptical galaxy, ellipse shape. Spiral galaxy, it will look something like this, a starfish like. There will be one core at the center and number of arms will be present around it. Okay. Then we have the barreled spiral galaxy, which will have one cylinder kind of thing at the center and number of arms which will be present around it. Example being the Milky Way galaxy. And then we have the irregular galaxy, which do not have any shape at all. Okay, which do not have any shapes. Okay. Any doubts? Any doubts? No? Then we have Milky Way. Okay, just a little additional information for you people. Milky Way galaxy, just facts over here. Okay, what is the size? The size is 1.5. The diameter of the Milky Way is about 1.5 to 2 lakh light years. What is a light year? It is a unit of speed, distance. Okay, it is a unit of distance which is covered by light in a year. Okay, distance covered by light in a year, we call it as light year. You should not be confused with the time. It is not a unit of time, it is an unit of distance. Okay. What is the distance which is covered? It is about 9.46 trillion kilometers. It is about 9.46 trillion kilometers. Why do we use light as a measure of distance? What is the speed of a light? 3 lakh, it is about 3 lakh kilometer per second. It is about 3 lakh kilometers per second. Why do we use it as a measure of distance? Just because it is very fast? It is the maximum speed? It is? Distance is very huge? It can travel in vacuum? It travels in a straight path? No? Huh? No. It travels at a constant speed. That is the reason. It travels at a constant speed. The constant speed means its speed does not change. Whatever direction it is, the light will travel at about 3 lakh kilometers per second. Whereas other materials in this world, their speed varies. Okay, their speed varies. For example, if you take the sound, the speed changes based on the material. Denser the material, greater is the speed of the sound. Okay, so for all the other materials, the speed changes. Whereas in the case of the light's speed is a constant. That is the reason why it is used to measure distance. If speed varies, then obviously light year will vary also. Sometimes it will be slow, sometimes it will be fast. So if it say it is slow, only 2 lakh means it will cover only 6 trillion kilometers. Then what is the use of using it as a distance, unit of distance if it varies? Okay, it should not vary. 1 kilometer should be 1 kilometer only, right? It should not vary. Light year should be light year itself. It can remain as a light year distance only if the speed remains a constant. Okay, till now we have understood that the light's speed is a constant. It does not change. Its speed is 3 lakh kilometers per second. Okay, remember the reason why we use it as a measure is because of its constant speed, not high speed, not changing direction. All those things are not the reason. It is because of the constant speed. If the speed varies, then the unit will also vary. Then it is of no use to use it as a unit. Okay, unit should be a constant one. You got it? Yes? Any doubts? No. So we have Milky Way. The diameter is about 1.5 to 2 lakh light years. Okay. The thickness is about 10,000 light years. The disk thickness is about 500 to 2000 light years. Okay. Number of stars 100 to 400 billion stars are present. Almost all these stars we have, all the galaxies, it is said that each of the galaxy will have more than 100 billion stars within the galaxies. Okay. Yes. It is said that there are more number of stars in this world than the number of grains which are present on the earth. Okay. Next, the location of the solar system. Within the Milky Way, they are present on the Orion arm. Okay, we are present on the Orion arm, which is about 26,000 kilometers away from the 26,000 light years away from the center. Okay, and the closest galaxy is Andromeda, which is about 2 million light years away from the Milky Way, which is about 2 million light years away from the Milky Way. Okay. Yes. Next, we have two more concepts. One is pulsars, the other one is quasars. Okay. Pulsars are the neutron stars which regularly emit high amount of magnetic field. Which regularly emit high amount of magnetic field. they emit magnetic field in pulse. Emit magnetic field in pulse. That's why pulsars. Okay. So they emit magnetic field in pulsars. Okay, and they are present in the neutron stars. Neutron stars which emit magnetic field in certain way or pattern, we call it as pulsar. Okay, generally it releases in pulsars. Okay. Next we have quasars. Quasars are very bright galaxies. Okay, they are very bright galaxy. The reason for the brightness of the galaxy is the presence of a supermassive black hole at the center of the galaxy. Okay, the presence of a supermassive black hole at the center of the galaxy lead to the increase in the brightness of the galaxy as a whole, and that kind of galaxy we call it as the quasars. Okay, quasars are those galaxies whose brightness is very high. The reason for such high brightness is the presence of a supermassive black holes at the center of the galaxy. Okay? Yes? Any doubts? Okay. So these are the terminologies which will be coming across your newspaper every now and then. So you should just know what are these different celestial bodies which you come across the newspapers. Okay? Yes? Any doubts till now? No? Okay. So this is how a neutron, the pulsars will look like. Okay. So they will be emitting the magnetic field, okay, in pulses. So have I told you that there is one more class after the this session itself? Okay. Okay. We'll take one small break. Okay. We'll assemble back at 5:30. Yes. Okay. Yes. You people have any doubts till now? No. How about the speed? It's okay, right? If anyone want me to slow down, you can drop a message. I'll slow it down. Okay? Yes. You don't have to worry. See, in the class, you should understand the concept. Otherwise, it is no use for you to pay money and come here. Okay? Yes.